Okay, so can I just surprise you with a topic?
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it. It's the best.
Well, this is one I was going to do solo, and I thought, why not talk to somebody who's in the business, you know? Lately, we've been seeing a lot of bands that kind of get older. They start, especially the bands we like, they start aging out. And I was wondering what you thought about when should a band finally just call it quits, you know? And is it up to the fans? Is it up to the band? What are the circumstances where you'd be like, yeah, they should probably just call it? Or, man, people still want to come see them, play as long as you can, you know? What do you think?
I mean, that's a great question. I'm going to use a real world example of something that I battle with a little bit. So, product placement here. My favorite band is Third Eye Blind.
Oh, yeah. I
Yep.
didn't even notice that was a hoodie for
Yeah.
them. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love Third Eye Blind. I think their music, for whatever reason, they just really resonated with me more than any other band has. And even their newer stuff, I'm like, I find something about it that I dig. Stephen Jenkins' voice is really kind of turned to shit.
Has it? I haven't heard
Yeah,
of
I
this.
mean, like he has some times. If you listen to the most recent thing, they did one of those the NPR sessions.
Oh, really?
the
Tiny Desk?
Tiny Desk, yes.
Ooh,
They
that's
did
like
one.
raw. Like you have to be
Yes.
on top of your game for
Yes.
that shit.
So
yeah.
listen to that. They did it, and I was like, oh.
Is he like raspy or can he not hit high
He
notes?
can't
now?
hit high notes.
Okay.
He just can't hit the high notes. And he always, I'm coming off the flu, guys. But he can't. Like he did Jumper, and I was like, I felt bad for him, right?
Because that song just kicks right into vocals, right?
Yes.
It's
Well,
just-
especially the
okay.
chorus is really high.
Yeah.
Like the Angry Boy a bit too insane or
Yeah.
whatever. That it gets up there, and it's hard for me even to sing it.
I can
you know?
imagine it's, I'd have to
Yeah.
go falsetto, I think.
Yeah,
for
it's
that,
tough. And so hearing him makes me feel like maybe it's time, guys, to like fade off into the sunset.
Sure.
But then there's this part of me that when they're here live, I still want to see him. I still want that nostalgia. I don't want to feel like that chapter in life has closed.
It's
Right?
like,
And I think that's
seeing,
when people hang on.
definitely the nostalgic door was closing. And we're just like, no, we still want to live in those times because we felt so good during those years. you
Right.
know?
And it's like, as soon as let's say REO Speedwagon is done for good, right? Then the young you who loved REO Speedwagon has to come to the life realization that like my time is getting closer to being done because this band that was so integral in my life that meant so much, they can't do it anymore, so I can't be far behind. You know?
I see you're tying it to your own mortality. That's
Yes.
deep, yeah, for
Yes.
sure. Because when you grow up seeing, let's say, James Hetfield from Metallica being this powerhouse, and one day he's just going to be like hunched over, and they do these like filters sometimes. I think it's with AI where they show him as old people, and I'm like, oh god, he's like the rock. He's the rock of the metal world, like of the mountain, basically, that holds everything together, it seems like. And if he ever goes away or can't sing or can't play or whatever, it's just going to be like a wake-up call, like you said. I think I felt that when I saw Cyndi Lauper recently. Because I was born at a time where the 80s and the 90s were a big deal. Because when you're a certain age, you really, music is so important when you're like developing. And if you feel lonely as a kid, like you don't have a ton of friends, like music is your friend. And so these guys are your friends. And then you see like someone on stage just not even be able to like jump up and down anymore. She was good. Her voice went out one time, but I think it's because the weather was super cold and weird. But just going, wow. And then Lucinda Williams came out for a cameo and she needed help walking because I think she had like a stroke or something happen. And just seeing your favorite people just barely making it onto the stage to where, it's tough to grasp. But who's to say when someone should quit? Like right now, Heart is back on tour. And I saw a bunch of comments where they're like, gotta hang it up, ladies. It's just not, this is not cool because Ann Wilson's in a wheelchair right now. Wow. And she let her hair go white and she cut it really short. She's sitting in a wheelchair singing Barracuda and stuff. And a lot of people were just kind of like, ooh, that's great. It's kind of wild to see that. But a part of me goes, well, if it's her own volition that she's going out, no one's forcing her to go out and people are still buying tickets. Maybe it's one of those things that it's not my business,
Well, like, Chrissy from the Pretenders, right? Open for Foo Fighters at Target Field. Sounded amazing. She's like 72 or something like that.
She's pulling a Joan Jett, or they're just gonna, or a Pat Benatar, where somehow they just keep going.
Yeah, and it was like I was really impressed with her not only her vocal ability, but you know, she was still pretty energetic playing guitar, and I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
then so the younger, I wasn't a huge Pretenders fan, but like I saw a lot of old guys in the crowd that you could just see that it was like so meaningful for them to be able to like rock out to her and
Yeah.
the Pretenders, and it was like, yeah, I mean, if you can extend, as long as it's kind of like LeBron James, right, in basketball,
Yeah,
like as
that's
long as
true.
you can still perform at 40. Like you don't want to give it up, and that's what you hear about. I think the other thing that we don't always think about is the human element of it. When like pro athletes talk about retirement, a lot of times they keep coming back and coming back because it's
Definitely.
the camaraderie.
Yep.
It's they don't know another life outside of that, and it's just their life kind of loses some of its core meaning when they can't continue to do it. And I feel like musicians are probably very much that way. If you
Definitely,
can't
definitely.
go out and perform, you can't go out and tour. You probably like Bon Jovi is another great example.
Yeah, Bon
If you
Jovi.
They watch that documentary.
Yep.
He's struggling so hardcore with
Yep.
his vocals. He can't even come close to being the vocal powerhouse that he was.
Yeah.
But if you watch that documentary on Bon Jovi, he's just like he's doing everything in the world. He's getting surgeries. He's doing all these treatments because he just wants to continue making music. He just wants to.
Feel
That's
that.
his life.
Yeah.
You know what I
He
mean?
wants to feel that high.
Who's to tell Bon Jovi? Nope. It's time to ride out from the sunset, old man. You
Yeah,
know?
I guess ultimately it's up to him, but I didn't know he was getting surgeries and he was really
Yeah.
just trying to keep it together somehow. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, is there going to come a time where he starts floating in backing tracks and, you know what I mean? Or is he already
Right.
doing that maybe for the choruses? Because they go really crazy.
It doesn't seem like he is. I think he's getting a lot of help from, you know, the guitar
Other band
player,
members,
you know,
yeah.
the new Sambora.
Yep.
You know, I think he's getting, and he's got a lot more guys in the band that I think are contributing some of those things.
Yeah.
But he clearly is like, you know, going down instead of hitting those soaring choruses. And
Sure.
but, you know, for the big Bon Jovi fan, they don't care. They just want to see John Bon Jovi up there another time.
Yep. Because it could always be the last time.
Right.
Now, when I go see bands, I'm like, is this the last time I'll ever see Rob Halford or whoever? You just never know, man. People at a certain age, I guess any age, they could be gone, but just you feel the mortality sinking in everywhere you look. It's so crazy. And if you do get into like a new band, it sometimes feels like there's not the same connection just because now you're older, you're wiser, you have your set ways, and it's really hard to suddenly get into a brand new act, you know?
Very.
There's a guy, who is it? Some old, like, famous guy who was in, I think, a band at one time. Or maybe he was always solo. But he's not even singing anymore. He's coming out, and it's like, he looks like he's a zombie. He comes out, and he's not even holding the mic up to his mouth, and it sounds like he's singing because they're just it's coming through the PA system. And for that, I wonder if some people are just being forced out there. Like, I don't know if he owes money or what.
good
So there's
point,
that
yeah.
angle where you're forced to keep going, and that's when it, to me, is really tragic.
Absolutely. Yep.
So don't get any crazy debt. Otherwise, you're going to be out there singing Third Eye Blind when you're 80 and you're actually blind.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you wonder. I mean, Motley Crue, another example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember. So my niece was actually on a cheerleader for the Chiefs, and so she
Oh,
got
wow.
to be on stage when Motley Crue did like. It was either pre or post game show for the Super Bowl and the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Not last year, but the year before or whatever.
She was in the Super Bowl?
She was, yes, she actually went to the
crazy.
Super Bowl, yeah. But she got to be part of the dancers that were on stage as part of this Motley Crue thing, right?
Okay.
And so, of course, I was a little more tuned into it because I wanted to see if I could see her.
Yeah.
And, God, just listening, like, his voice is so brutal now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I've heard it.
and you wonder if, like, yeah, there's situations where like I really don't want to do this, but I owe so much money. I'm gonna make so much money on this reunion tour that I'm just
Yep.
gonna shove myself back out there again.
Yep.
And
I mean, just seeing your bank numbers go up every time you do a show by, you know, not six digits. I don't know how much they would make these days, but someone like Crew, it's almost like they're leaving a lot of money on the table if they just walk away.
Yeah.
So I guess it's that pull of, you know, first of all, are you in the hole? Do you have to make up for something? Maybe you have bad gambling debts. Who knows? Or you still owe your record label. I hope that's not the case at this point for them.
Right.
But I've heard some brutal stories where people, like companies own you for life, basically.
Yeah, right.
Or if you just want to make as much before you go out because afterwards there's you're just going to want to sit around and not worry about money.
Mm-hmm.